This is Randy Rosetta with HubCityPreps.com with this week's edition of the Pirate Podcast, sponsored by Grease Monkey. I'm with Easton, Barnhill, and Malik's Epps-Keller, whose name was given the poor PA guy in El Paso all kinds of trouble the other night. He couldn't figure out who he was calling, what he was saying, and you made plays, so you put him on the spot.
Yeah.
That was last week against Canutillo, a 38-14 win, where you guys, it's cliche to say a tale of two halves, but sort of was. You guys actually did a lot of good things, Easton, in the first half offensively, except put the ball in the end zone until the very end. And defensively, you guys had to kind of lock in a little bit, but then second half were just really good.
Yeah.
That was a good playoff game. And I know people saw the El Paso scores up here and thought that Lubbock Cooper must have struggled. No, you guys played a really good El Paso team, Easton.
Yes, sir.
How much does that help you guys confidence-wise to go and play a good team and to play as well as you did?
I think it's a huge confidence boost. Like usually most years, first round, your confidence isn't up as much because you don't really know what you're going up against from El Paso. But that was a good El Paso team, and it was a good win for us.
And offensively especially, you guys had to kind of find ways to do things. You like I said, you moved the ball, and then you got it in right before halftime. And Coach mentioned afterwards that was a shot in the arm. What did that do for you guys offensively going into the locker room?
I think right whenever we scored that touchdown going into halftime, we knew we kind of had it figured out and we were going to dominate the second half.
Now, Malik, defensively, you guys gave up the big play, I think, 2 plays in.
Yeah.
They had to step outside of their normal way of doing things, and they got you. It happens every once in a while in football. But after that, and they had, I think, one other big play that they hit. But you guys really locked down, didn't let them run the ball the way they wanted to, especially after. I know the Memorial game was a few weeks in the rearview mirror, but you guys had kind of taken some blows to the pride in that game. What did that do defensively for you guys to be able to lock them down the way you did?
It was really just kind of like the bye week. You know, we didn't have a game, so we just had extra practice and we got prepped for them. We came out. I mean, we didn't come out as strong, but second half, yeah, we came out good.
And you especially taking the runaway the way they like to do things, because they're, again, that was a good El Paso team. The numbers they put up coming into that game kind of played that out a little bit. So now you got to turn the page, which Lubbock Coopers used to be in the playoffs, used to be in this far. You're not used to seeing a team you've never seen before, which kind of was the case last week too, but this is a whole different animal. Easton, what's that like to get ready for not only a new opponent, but a team that's just new in general?
I think it's exciting. It's something new. We've seen Alito past 2-3
Yes,
years
you
in
have.
the playoffs. We're ready for something new. I think we'll be all right.
And you know it's a good team. You don't have to,
No,
I mean,
when you're in the playoffs after this, no team's going to be a bad team.
what do they do defensively that you guys have seen on video that you've got to kind of lock down against?
They're going to be pretty aggressive off the edge, but I think we're ready for it. And we got a good receiver in Mike and Kid Gage, Alden. I think we'll be all right.
And you've got a few guys over there to get the ball too. Same thing for you, Malik. What do they do offensively? I don't know how they split that school district up. It sounds like they got some of the athletes. You guys know what that's like because you've got some friends that are down the road at Liberty now. But what do they do offensively that you've got to be ready for?
They just got a good offensive scheme, you know. Like their route concepts are really good. We just gotta stay on top of our things, do our job.
One thing that they've gotten similar or common with you guys is they played in a really good district. They got tested. They had some games where they took care of business, but they got tested on a regular basis. Again, week 2, you're going to start playing good teams. Easton, what do you guys have to do better than you did in that second half last week?
In that second, I personally, run blocking for me, but as a team, I think second half we played pretty solid. We just got to clean up the penalties, false starts, holdings, things like that, and I think should be good in that.
Yeah, you guys have kind of established a trend that probably is driving the coaches a little bit crazy. A lot of penalties early, then all of a sudden the faucet turns off. You stop getting them, and that's great. But how do you, as older guys, how do you mentally adjust and not let the penalties hit early, Malik?
You know, we just gotta, I mean,
some penalties happen. Some penalties happen. I mean, defensive backs especially, things are going to happen once in a while. But the ones that coaches that drive coaches crazy, the pre-snap stuff, the after-play stuff, how do you Easton, how do you guys kind of make sure those go away?
We call them mental penalties, and if you're too worried about the guy in front of you whooping you up, then probably don't need to be in.
That's a good point.
And I think once you settle in, as the game goes, you get more settled in, you get used to it, and calm down a little bit, if that makes sense.
Well, that makes sense because that's kind of what you guys did in general. Malik, going back to you defensively, what are some things that have to happen early against them for you guys to get some confidence and feel like you're going to be able to do what you need to do?
We just gotta do our job. We gotta, that first half last week, we didn't come out so strong. I feel like we weren't as confident. And then the second half, coach got on us. We came out way a lot better. And I feel like if we do that, we'll be good.
What you said there kind of stuck in my mind when I was driving over here. That second half was Lubbock Cooper playoff DNA coming out. You guys realize what time of year it is. You realize you've got to play at a certain level. Could you kind of sense that, Easton, when you guys came out of the locker room, that you guys were ready to kind of change the narrative a little bit?
Yeah, different feel completely. When coming out of the locker room, it seemed you could just tell everyone was more locked in, focused. Like you could tell everyone was ready for it.
Now, I know Chip pretty well, and I ask him this all the time because you guys are so much better in the second half usually. He claims that he doesn't peel the paint off the walls. He said it's pretty calm, it's pretty man-to-man kind of conversation type things. Malik, knowing that he's trusts you guys as older guys and isn't going to turn into a fire and brimstone preacher at halftime, what does that tell you about the relationship you guys have with your coaches, that they know they just need to talk to you to get you headed in the right direction?
It's just, we're all a family. We can all talk to each other like normal people. We built our relationship ever since August.
So I've talked to your guys that you know from Friendship and from Monterey this week. This is kind of Lubbock, West Texas underdog week. You guys are all playing teams with big names, with great records that have done incredible things this season. Is there a sense of pride when you get into a week like this, Easton, to go out there and represent not just your school but Lubbock and all of West Texas and say, hey, we know what we're doing out here as well?
Yeah, for sure. I like us being the underdogs. I honestly do, but just representing for West Texas, there's some teams that wish they were playing this week, and I think we need to go out and represent for them.
Now, like you said, you guys have played Toledo several times the last few years in this round. You played Dallas Oak Cliff a few years ago in the state semifinals. You guys have seen the best of the best and have held your own pretty well. For both you guys, I'll start with you, Malik. Having been through those games and gotten that experience, what does that do for you at this time of year?
It makes me a better player. It makes me a better teammate too. Just, taking those tough losses and then learning from them, just experience.
What about you, Easton?
I think the maturity part of it, like when you get in the playoffs and you're playing a good team, you really got to focus up on doing your job and making sure your guys are locked in with you and doing their jobs.